Hello everyone, Lore Master of Sotek here, and I'm back with something a little different today. So, in light of some little things I've been dabbling with lately, I kind of have been thinking more about the mod community for Total War Warhammer. Especially because, for those of you that may have missed it, last weekend, I actually decided to spend a day checking out some mods that the community really wanted me to look at. And while I was looking at it, I really thought that it might be a good idea to start a series where every once in a while, in a more cut and dry format, as opposed to me showing you my live reaction as I'm playing through it, introducing to you mods that I find for the game that I think are really good. So I'll show you my favorite mods, but then in addition to that, I want to show you some of the more popular mods and kind of just introduce them to you. But the first thing I wanted to show is that I know a lot of my community are either new to Total War games, or maybe they play Total War but haven't tried mods in the first place. And Steam actually changed its makeup a little bit. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, I really quick just want to show you how to install mods in case you have any questions about it. And it's really simple. You just go in your library, go to the Total War game, and then you just go to the workshop. And when you click on the workshop button, you're literally just taken to this page. And for the sake of what I like to cover the most subscribed mods. So you can literally just go here and you'll see all of the most popular mods that have been made. And we'll go into a couple of them here in a minute. But I just wanted to show you all this. And then when you launch the game, we'll go over that in just a moment. But so that's what you do on Steam to subscribe to these mods. You just go in here and you hit subscribe if you want it. And then we'll go from there. Alright guys. Alright, so to keep things pretty short and simple, I wanted to go ahead and show you some mods that I don't want to spend too much time all out installing, but I did want to introduce them to y'all as concepts because you might find they're really fun mods. And the first is the Mixu series of mods. So there's a number of these, but the most famous are, of course, are Mixu's Legendary Lords, which there's 1 and 2. And another thing is, if you ever like a mod creator, they'll usually have a collection that they make, or you can always follow their account. But if you go to his collection, you can kind of see all of the different mods that this individual has made. He's made some really good ones. They pretty much tend to heavily revolve around altering or adding in new Legendary Lords for the most part. And for Mixu's Legendary Lords 1 and 2, these add a ton of characters, as you can kind of see listed all up here. And not only are a bunch of them new Legendary Lords, but some of them you actually have to acquire through unique forms. So for instance, you have situations, and some of them also have specific ways to confederate with them. I actually played this mod fairly recently, and although for myriads of reasons I tend to try and keep my game as close to vanilla as possible, I will note that some mods are made better than others. And Mixu's series is borderline professionally made, considering that he really can't import his own assets, and he has to use assets that already exist in the game. He does a pretty amazing job of putting in a lot of really famous characters from across the lore. Some are less famous, some are kind of like from random tidbits, but some are characters that a lot of people want to see. And if you come out a little gimmicky, like Teto Echo looks a little goofy, and I tried playing a campaign with the Gorfang mod, and you definitely will have to mess around with these mods, just because they add so much into the game that their balance is questionable. But that's easy to fix by just tinkering with your settings and making sure to just try importing other mods. But Mixu was the first one that I really wanted to introduce you guys to, and there's one other one that I want to highlight for this episode. And for this episode, I'm only showing you guys mods that I have played with. There are some mods that I'm going to be trying very soon, probably this next Sunday. like the radius mods. A lot of people, I think they were actually right next to Mixu on this main page back here. Yeah, the radius Total War mods. I have not tried those, so I'm not gonna get into them just yet, but we will in the future. But the other one that I really wanted to talk about that I'm not going to be downloading to show off, but it's worth talking about, are what's known as the GCCM mods. So these guys, I'm very familiar with their community, though it's been a while since I've talked to them. But essentially, these guys are modders who create absolutely incredible maps, especially for sieges. So if you've ever played through a campaign and you're sitting there just being like, I really wish that every settlement had a unique map, or that every siege was something truly special, then this is a mod you have to check out. The GCCM mod is probably, if you're bored of your experience and you really want something to completely revolutionize it, while keeping the core experience the same, then this is the mod you want to start with. The good news is it is actually fairly easy to install. There are a number of them that you kind of have to install in bulk, just because they add in so many maps. And you can see all these maps are so beautifully crafted. So I would really, really recommend this if you find that your experience has gotten a little stale, or you're one of those people like me who really, really wanted... who wants to maybe see one day all of the settlements being at least a little unique. Because that's definitely one of the weaknesses of the game, especially when it comes to sieges. And that's one thing these guys really leaned into. So that's definitely worth checking out. You'll definitely want to make sure... Oh, look, I'm even on the created by, even though all I did was talk. But you'll definitely want to check those out. Like I said, there are a number of them. So whenever you join onto it and you try and download the mod, it'll usually recommend others to try. And then you can always check out the mod creators like Maruka here to figure out the whole series. So the last mods that I'm going to focus today is I actually want to show you guys the mods that I play with and the reason I play with them. And then we'll talk about SFO. Alright, so I talked about earlier that I wanted to show you guys the mods that I personally play with, as well as actually talk a little more in depth about SFO, just because it is it's a very particular mod that's worth discussing on its own, due to how significant it is. But to install your mods, you just hop onto the mod manager button there, and then it's just going to pull up this list. And generally, the way this basically works is that depending on what patch you're running on, for instance, if they're having public betas or a patch has very recently come out, like a new DLC just released, then sometimes your mods will be outdated and it's good to wait for them to update. But when I'm just playing by myself and I'm just having a good time, generally the only mods I used, this one I actually very recently got, which is the solved dials of the old ones, which this is literally just that whenever you check, destroyed settlements, ruined settlements, you get a puzzle. I genuinely enjoy solving most of them, with the exception of the dials, because you can't rotate it. So it's very difficult to solve the puzzle because it's not interactable and it sucks. So this actually helps with that significantly. Then one that I think everyone should have is called the Save Camera Settings mod. And this mod literally just makes it so that your camera settings, so when you set like how fast you want the AI to move on turns and all that kind of stuff, is once you've selected it, it stays selected whenever you start new campaigns. I genuinely do not understand why that's not a base feature right now, and hopefully it will be in the future, but, there you go. Another one I use is Sibity's 2 points per level mods. I find that this actually helps make the AI a lot stronger, and it helps my own personal experience, because I like my characters to be nice and beefy. This just makes it so that whenever your lords level up, they get 2 skill points instead of just 1, but it's only for lords, because unfortunately most of the heroes are pretty underdeveloped. as far as their skill trees go, mostly because CA kind of nuked their blue trees, so they only have a couple of skills there, and most of them aren't necessarily useful. So you kind of end up in this situation where you tend to have way more skill points than you need for heroes, so you definitely don't want to double up those, especially because they go to level 40, and most of them were only designed with the intent to go to level 30. But I find on Lords, it's very, very helpful. And it also makes the AI a lot more formidable, because it gives the AI enough skill points that they can kind of cover a lot of bases, because sometimes the AI struggles to make the best decisions. And then this is another very famous mod. It's just the better camera mod, which for some people, there's a way you can do this by just going, I think, into the game's code, and it's fairly simple. You just have to like delete a number and replace it with another number, but I'm too lazy to do that when I have a mod that can just do it for me. So those are the only mods I use, and that's just to modify the base experience so that I enjoy it a little more. And there are some other mods on here that are quite good to just kind of tweak your experience a little bit, like the building progression icons mod. This is a really good mod. It literally just makes it so that when you're looking at your buildings, you know, you're upgrading your buildings and your settlements or your hordes, it just has a unique icon for every single one. So even if you're upgrading the same building to multiple tiers, it starts off very basic looking and then gets very elaborate looking by the end, which I also think should be in the base game, so I think that's a little interesting that it's not. And then, I don't always use it, but sometimes I do. And then, of course, region trading is another really good one. If you're someone that's trying to, you like to have a lot of alliances with the AI, but you tend to find that the AI can be, let's put it nicely and say idiots, when it comes to choosing what territory to conquer and what territory they lose. This gives you a fairly basic but fair version to trade territory, which basically allows you to purchase territory from the AI instead of just taking it from them. So at least it makes you feel like you have to earn it. The other one that's actually very, very important, worth pointing out, is the UI modding framework. So I don't use this mod because it is not required for any of the mods I currently use. But if you're interested in getting involved with modding, or if you're wanting to actually customize your UI to use some of the much more complicated mods, like the region trading mod, for instance, the region trading mod actually requires a new option on your diplomacy screen, so you have to install the UI modding framework because that allows the diplomacy screen to be modded. Therefore, you can activate region trading and use it. And then some of the other ones on here, I have the faster intern camera mod. I have not used this since the Potion of Speed update was released because the interns are plenty fast now. I don't know if this would actually make it faster anymore or not, but it used to actually help significantly. But without further ado, let's go ahead and turn on SFO, and let me show you guys a little bit about it. And from there, we should be nearing the end. And of course, I have my No Fog of War, but that's for work. So, anyway. Alright, so welcome to SFO Grim Hammer. If you've never heard of SFO, 1, that probably means you've never visited the subreddit, and 2, that means you've probably never used mods. So, welcome. These guys have definitely been on my radar, and I've actually talked to a number of their developers from time to time over the years, but they do some pretty incredible work. You may also be very familiar with their work if you follow YouTubers like Indie Pride. Indie Pride, I know, does a lot of tournaments and stuff with them. But essentially what they do that really separates them from the crowd is where most mods, like Mixu's mods, add a lot of... Mixu's mods adds a ton of characters to this screen, right? Just floods it with new characters. Or some of the other mods we talked about earlier just kind of modify the base experience by a little bit. You know, even GCCM doesn't actually change the campaign map or the way any of the units play or any of that stuff. It literally just makes it so that every settlement is unique, right? This mod is special because it's completely different. So if you activate this mod and you start playing, you're going to be playing a brand new campaign, like a totally new experience. So, I mean, let's look at let's perhaps take a look at a faction that's a little infamous for being outdated right now, like the Greenskins. So if I come in here with Azhag, right? You know, Greenskins obviously have not been updated in a long time. But just looking at the faction effects alone, so we've got something called Green Tide. Loot with you a smashin'. I feel like there's not supposed to be a spacer, but anyway. But he's got massive diplomacy with vampire counts. He's got new buffs, like he has access to feral wyverns as a unit, and that's the other thing, is this tends to add a lot of units. He gives immune to psychology to his entire army. There are unit caps introduced in the game, and there are even customizable experiences depending on how you want to play your campaign. Which I should know, because I know they've done this in the past. I'm not doing this because anyone is sponsoring me. The only reason I'm doing this is because mods have started to show up more on my radar, and I'm trying to pay attention to more diverse parts of the community than I have in the past. And I know that I think there's like a mod showcase coming up in the near future, or something similar to that. But like, if you could practically click on any character, and you're gonna see new abilities and skills added to many of them. I mean, if we look over at, who's another outdated character? I mean, the Beastmen. You can see there's a Hearthstone system, unique ascensions. There's legitimately completely new campaign systems in here. Same thing for Chaos. Chaos can raise Chaos Fortresses now. You got notably more buffs. There's something called Chaos Cultists. And, yeah. And, like, a lot of these buffs are substantially better. Now, I don't know balance-wise how this works out necessarily. I have played a Beastman campaign through SFO, and I did very, very, very genuinely enjoy it. But, obviously I haven't played through every single character, because I've yet to finish a campaign with this mod, just because I tend to spend so much time just trying to finish campaigns in the base game. But this is the one that I just really wanted to kind of show you guys in here. And we can even hop into this. So, I mean, we've got Wood Elves here having seasons. What else did they add? Looks like he's got penalties, actually, for being outside forests. And then he's got some additional buffs down here. But if we just hop into one of these, so we'll just hop in with Orion. The Wood Elves are tragically out of date right now. I think, in my opinion, the Wood Elves and the Greenskins are probably the worst two campaigns in the game right now. But we'll just hop into this one just to kind of take a brief look at it and skip through the first few turns to show you some interesting dilemmas that I've seen pop up. And some of the dilemmas are character specific. You know, you can play with characters like Karl Franz or Mazdamundi or, oh gosh, I think one of the Dwarf Kings and Skarsnik. But there are numerous characters that can have interesting dilemmas you have to deal with, and a lot of those exist in Mixu as well. Mixu's mods do add quite a few dilemmas to all these situations. But if we hop in here, just looking at what we've got here, interesting. So there's more significant penalties due to just being an insignificant faction. So there's that. There's probably going to be a fair amount of new buildings. And probably new units as well. So we've got Shadow Dancers. That's not in the base game. What else do we have here? Yes, there are definitely a lot of new buildings. This allows you to generate amber as a building you can build. That's a nice way to deal with that. You also have, I think they've added numerous new units if I remember correctly. Wildwood Wardens, that's different. Eternal Wardens, that's different. And then Wild Riders and Wild Riders with Shields are actually on the same tier, which may have been the case in the base game. It's been a while since I played Wood Elves. But there's a lot of really interesting new things, and when you really start to explore and look around, you'd be surprised what you can find. I know when I was playing the Beastman stuff, it was alarming how many changes they made. I mean, look at this. The tech tree is notably more packed. I think the original elf tech tree is only half of this. Oh my gosh, I need so much amber to finish this game. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of these mods and kind of put them on y'all's radar. I intend to maybe take... I'll put it this way. If y'all would be interested and seeing me actually take some deep dives into these, like trying to finish certain campaigns and giving my feedback on that specifically, or checking out mods that I haven't mentioned today, or if you would just like to see an occasional, maybe weekly or bi-weekly video that comes out and just kind of casually talks about some mods that I've looked at and checked out, let me know. And if you hate this and you think it's dumb and just want to go back to the normal system and never touch this again, then feel free to slap that thumbs down button. But in any event, that's going to pretty much do us for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you check out mods. And, you know, down in the comment section, what I would really like to know is what are the mods you're running? I would really like to know what each of you prefers to do on your own mod list. I think it could be interesting to see what everyone else is running. You know, I showed you my 4 or 5 earlier, so let me know what mods you're running in your campaigns, and feel free to include just like a short sentence or two about why. And I really look forward to reading those. So in any event, guys, thanks so much for joining me for this kind of impromptu video, and I hope to see y'all around in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.